Welcome back to Switched to Linux. Well, if you've been watching the internet news lately, you know that there's this new thing out there called 1.1.1.11111. Oh, wait, hold on. 1.1.1.1. Today we want to talk about what, why, and how. So this is a DNS system. So the DNS server, this basically is a thing that takes your easy to remember names and translates those into numbers that will retrieve the information for your server. And so really there's a lot of other videos that talk a lot about this, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time, but I did want to show this image to just to highlight a few things. So what we have here with this, and I don't know, this is from, windowsitpro.com, I guess is where that figure's from. So basically what we have going on here is the DNS can be overridden, and if you are familiar with the hosts file on your computer, really what you're doing with the hosts file is you are controlling local DNS. So your host file is a DNS system. So what happens is you're on your main system, such as our main PC over here. So inside of your main PC, you're looking up a website. So here they say beta.example.com. So when you go into a web browser or any background system setup, unless you're on Windows 10, they have some funky ways around it. So you go onto your system, and on your system, you just kind of tell it, go to beta.example.com. Your local DNS first, which is your hosts file, will see, is there anywhere this computer's telling me to go? If the answer to that question is no, then the next thing it does is it shoots it on up to the next level. So here we might have a router or a local DNS server. So your router may or may not behave like a local DNS server. More often than not, your home routers, by default, they just pass through. They're just like, a request is coming in, I don't know, just pass it on up the chain. And then that's going to go up to your ISP. And then your ISP has a name resolver, and they may or may not be passing it on to someone else as well. It kind of depends. But what happens then is, by doing all this, your ISP gets a chance to see all of the things you're typing in and relay all the information back and forth. This allows a lot of things. First, it allows your ISP to see very clearly everything you're doing. It allows them to interject some things. It allows them to, if you type in a wrong number, it allows them to interject and send you some really, really annoying, crappy, giant page covered with ads and probably malware. Just, it's kind of like that old suicide Linux, run the suicide Linux in the terminal, run a terminal command. You get any one thing wrong, it automatically runs runs the delete command in your root directory. So, you get that kind of stuff. So basically what 1.1.1.1 is it's going to be you run it as either on your main system or on your local server, and it's going to effectively bypass your ISP's DNS route. This will add a level of security in that it's not passing all of your DNS information through your ISP. It's going to route it around instead. And that's kind of what's going on. This is a little bit different than a VPN. So what this 1.1.1.1 is you can go into either your router if you want it to affect your whole network, or into your individual computer or device if you want it just on your individual network. And what it's going to allow you to do is bypass your servers at your ISP. In place, go to Cloudflare is where 1.1.1.1 is. And Google has another one of these, which is theirs is 8.8.8.8, and there's a few other ones out there as well. And so these allow you to use a different system. Advantages: if your ISP blocks some type of traffic, you can reroute to this and bypass what your ISP is trying to block. Very good in this world where net neutrality is no longer a thing. But regardless, your system here is set up that way. Now, what I want to cover, because a lot of people have done a lot of the same videos, I want to cover something here that most people don't, because I always advocate the use of a good hosts file. Utilizing your host file to block certain sites, such as the tracking script I have on my website, where you can block all those advertisers locally on my network locally. I block the advertisers, I block Facebook, I block all of these types of things that are grabbing and tracking your data. So any device connected to my home network here works a whole lot better than most of the other add-ons, plugins, or whatever else you could come along with. But now what I want to do is talk about this 1.1.1.1 in light of all that, because what you need to know is that DNS Resolvers Cascade, the closer you get to your main system, the higher the priority is. Which means that for me, I deploy my blocking scripts on the router level. So any device connected to my internet has those blocking scripts. That means if I go onto my main computer here and I change the DNS according to the instructions we're going to look at, that is going to override my router, and all of the things that I block on the local level will pass through. This actually has a usefulness thing for me, because I block Facebook, but occasionally I need to verify something is on Facebook for a client. And so I can locally that moment change the local computer to bypass my router, and everything works. This kind of became a big deal when which government, it might have been the Syrian government, I forget which one, was blocking access to Signal. And so if people just went to the local devices and did 8.8.8.8, you would bypass the local ISPs. That's the power of this and advantage of this. So should you use this? I mean, I say there's no problem with it. I set this up on my own home network. And so all of my requests on all my devices on the router level are going up through this. Now, there is an extra consideration that you need to do if you are running hosts files, and I'll get to that when I get to it. So basically, if you go to the website, which is https://1.1.1.1, you'll be landed on this page. Hit the install button, and this is going to take you down to your various things. It should detect where you're at. If you have an iPhone, Android, Mac OS, Windows, Linux, these are all your main client. So if you are running blocking scripts or any other type of local DNS on your network, such as a blocking scripts in your router, maybe you're running a Pi-hole or you're running NoTrack as an application, then those systems there, you want to make sure that that you're not following these instructions, because it's going to override what you're trying to do on NoTrack. You need to do that either on the router level or if you're using the Pi-hole or the NoTrack, you want to set those up to be your primary DNS, because you set your router up to look at your Pi-hole. So you set your Pi-hole wherever your blocking scripts are, that's what you want to resolve at 1.1.1.1. Definitely nothing downstream. Okay? So using your router, the downside with the router is every router is different. I'm using a pfSense router. So for me, I just went on and you just go and you find your DNS servers, which is on your, I think it's on System General Setup, I think, is where your DNS servers are. And then you want to use both these servers, 1.1.1.1 and 1.0.0.1. Now, the second number is actually a backup number. Google also has a backup number, and I forget what their backup number is. But these are the IP4. If you have IP6, you want to use these numbers. And then what that's going to do is that's going to enable you to be using Cloudflare's DNS system. Now, why might you want to use it? Well, you don't know what your ISP is logging or not logging, but Cloudflare has made the commitment to not log any data, and anything that has to be logged is going to be deleted within 24 hours. That's actually pretty good privacy from a company that has never made money with selling data or anything like that. That's not their business model. Versus your ISP, that is their business model. So that's why you might want to use this. Now, the extra consideration is on pfSense and probably other routers as well. You can actually set a client DHCP server and a client DNS server to also be 1.1.1.1. If you are using host files, blocking scripts, something like a Pi-hole or NoTrack, or what I'm doing with pfSense with this extensive blocking script, if that happens to be your case, do not set that up. Because what that's going to do is, instead of your router being your DNS server, your computer will go straight to 1.1.1.1, and everything you're trying to block is going to pass through. So don't set it as the server for your individual devices. Just put that on the router level, and then you allow your router to manage all of your other DNS. So that's kind of what you want to do. So do you want to do this? Absolutely. I hope this video covered the what, the why, and the how. So thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video from Switched to Linux. If you'd like to help support the channel, check out the links at the top. There is another video over here. You can check out our Patreon page down here. And you can check out shop.switchtolinux.com for information on a t-shirt like this or some other designs. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.